Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the community. You're not going to find one better. This is a group of like-minded individuals who are really dedicated to finding and getting to the root of health. Not just looking at symptoms, not just looking at short-term solutions, but really looking at the root of health to be able to help people long-term. So welcome, welcome. Okay, well, we have a very busy agenda today, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's walk through it. First, we can't start a healthcare professional meeting without talking about activation. It is who we are. We're going to go through the 6 A's. It was 5 A's originally. We added an extra one since I created this slide, so 6 A's. We're going to talk a little bit about GLP-1. We're going to go into NAD, cellular stress, some new research trends that we currently have no products for, just showing how we are constantly in the literature, constantly looking at cutting-edge technology. And then we're going to have Dondi closing us with activating your practice, and it's going to be a powerful session. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, activation. Who is familiar with the books that are on the screen? Raise your hand. Yeah. What we are seeing is more and more of these types of books are coming out. And what does that mean? What it means is that people are looking for a root cause solution for health. They are seeing that what is working, what they are doing now is not working. They are looking for something else. Look at some of these titles: Science and Art of Longevity, Life Force, Longevity, Good Energy. There's more and more coming out every single day. What does that mean? It means that they are looking for activation, but they don't have the vocabulary for it yet. They're using other words, they're using other descriptions, but they're all talking about activation, and that is phenomenal. Because that means we have something that they are looking for, but they will not know the word activation unless we tell it to them. Once we tell them that this is that root cause approach to health, but we need to be the ones that are spreading the message. But what this shows is that our audience looking for this solution to health is endless. Because there is audiences for this book everywhere. I've seen Good Energy everywhere. If we talk to every person who bought Good Energy, where would this company be? Yeah, so there is lots of folks looking for what we have, and it's up to us to be the ones to give the solution. Because this is not something new that we're doing. We've been doing activation longer than anyone else. We are the experts on activation, and it's up to us to be the one to spread the word. So, activation. We are the activation company. Other people may use similar language, but they are not the first. They are not the ones who do it the best like us. Okay, little test this morning. Simple definition of activation. What is it? Oh, I heard it over there. Let's do that a little bit louder. Take it to make it. I think, especially in this room, and I love all of you, we tend to complicate things a little bit. We like to talk about all the pathways. We get really nerdy with the science, which is phenomenal because we want to know how everything is working. And that's wonderful. I mean, that's the whole part. Like, that's Christina's love. It's my love. We love looking into what genes are being expressed in that balance. But not everyone needs to get to that level of detail. Like I said, they're looking for what we have, and it's as simple as take it to make it. Something is out of balance in your body, and they're going to take our products to help their body make what they need for health. Simple as that. You're lacking antioxidants? We have Nerve 2. We will make antioxidants. Lacking collagen? We have a solution for that as well. Out of balance GLP-1? Look at that. We have that one as well, and we will continue to approach health with that lens, which is incredibly exciting from a research and development perspective because it's an endless sea of possibilities. We can talk to everyone and say, what are you dealing with? Okay, then let's get to the root cause of that and let's see what we can activate to bring you back into balance. We are the activation company. And how we do that is through our 6 A's. Now, Julie talked a little bit about these yesterday, and I'm incredibly passionate because this is just a new way of talking about what we've been doing the whole time. This has been our process that sets us apart from everyone. And I know activation's our differentiator, but this is the way we do it, which also sets us apart. So let's go through them real quick. We have assess trends, assemble the formula, affirm efficacy, assure quality, advance the science, and then activate you. Now, from the assessing the trends, you may hear that and you think marketing trends, and that's a part of it. We have a fantastic product marketing team that we work side by side with. Actually, probably the senior director of marketing wishes he works less with me because we work so closely together. He's back there, so he's giving me a look. But we're always looking at the marketing trends to see what people need, what their health concerns are. But we don't stop there. We're looking where the research is going. We're looking at what drugs are coming out. We're looking at where pharma's spending their money, because if they're spending money somewhere, there's some pathways that we can naturally activate in that space because there's a market for it. So we look there. We're looking at the literature to see, okay, what studies are coming out? What new gene targets do we have to activate? Then we're assembling the formula, and we're very painstaking with it. We are taking individual ingredients, we are screening them for activity. We're looking at what genes do they influence based on what pathways we are looking for. We get some promising ingredients. We put them together in blends. We test all of those blends because when you put ingredients together, you can have synergies. You can have positive synergies and you can have negative. So we want to ensure that as we put together ingredients that work individually, we are putting them together in a way that we see synergy, because that's the secret sauce. It's not about individual ingredients. And that's why when people are comparing formulas and they're like, okay, well, what ingredient in your formula does this specifically compared to this formula? It's not about the individual ingredients. It's about how we put them together and the synergies that we see. That's what makes LifeVantage unique. And then we affirm the efficacy, because not only are we doing these in vitro cell culture studies to determine how the products are working, we want to make sure that people can experience benefits, because it's all nice and dandy if we're activating some pathways, but if people cannot experience a benefit, then we are not accomplishing our goal of helping people. And so that's the next step. We are confirming that people are experiencing benefits with our products, benefits they can see, benefits they can feel. And so we do that through in-house studies. We do that through human clinical trials. We are always looking to see how people can experience benefits with our products. And then we're assuring quality. We partner incredibly closely with our quality team. We're talking to them constantly to ensure that every ingredient goes through all of the testing that is required, that every batch matches and meets its spec. If something doesn't, we reject it and it doesn't go out to you. And I think the test of any system like that is, have you rejected batches? Yes, we've rejected batches because they don't meet our standards. And then no, they don't go out to you. So we stand by the standards that we have created. One of my favorites, though, is advancing the science, because a lot of people, they will create a product, they will launch it, okay, then they're moving on to the next thing. Okay, I'm done with that one, love it and leave it. Like, just launch it and leave it. But we like to launch and love it, because we know that our products are more powerful than just the product themselves. They are powerful in combination with other activators. And there's always more and more benefits that we discover. And that's one of the things that I absolutely adore about LifeVantage, is that we invest in research. With companies right now in this space where we are seeing people slashing R&D budgets and not being able to invest in the research that they want to do. Because I know a lot of folks in R&D at other companies, they want to do the research, but they don't have the team behind them like we do that support them doing the research, which is incredible. It is so unique. So we not only are launching these products and doing the research when we launch them, but we are allowed to continue doing the research so we can continue to see these synergies. And then finally, activating you. So getting these products in your hands, continuing to support you as you're talking about these products. Once again, we don't just throw these products out to you and go, good luck, we hope it goes well. We're always talking to you. We're always learning from you. My favorite thing is to hear feedback from you guys. How are you seeing the products working? What questions are you getting? How can we improve our resources to better support you? So know that I appreciate every one of our conversations when you come up to me. I'm never annoyed by it because that's part of my job. I get to hear everything that you guys are going through. That's why I'm in this business. I want to provide tools for you guys that you can help people. And I know that that can be hard sometimes. So we want to give you all the support we can do. So know that you have that from this team. So with that kind of background of everything, let's kind of go into our first topic that I'm going to cover, which is GLP-1. So everyone's familiar with how GLP-1 jumped on the scene in pop culture. This is not even some of the older articles. I just pulled what was in the news like right now, and it's been over 18 months since everything started coming up. Everyone's always guessing which celebrity is on these drugs. They're already, every single award show, it's weight loss, weight loss, weight loss. That's what everybody knows about it. I mean, honestly, I don't even think half the time they even know there's a hormone attached to it. They're just like, oh, I just put this in my body, and then like weight just melts off. And that's where it kind of started, which is fun from a science perspective, because we're like, no, there's this hormone and it's so much more than that. So let's go into a little bit of the research here. So we've known about GLP-1 since the 1980s. And so in 1992, we saw that GLP-1 helps to stimulate insulin secretion in humans. And then we started seeing some of the agonists getting approved in 2005. And then you can kind of just see this wave of drugs kind of come through, first for type 2 diabetes. And then we start seeing some of the weight management come through, which everyone is familiar, looking at more and more pathways and different targets. What kind of started happening at the end of 2024 is looking at some of the other benefits of GLP-1, which I think is one of the best things that we've seen come from this, beyond weight. Which I'm glad that pharma is starting to do that so that there's at least some wider notice of people knowing these other benefits, but it's still very small. They'll still hear GLP-1 and think weight. But where I get more excited with this hormone is where the research is going in the years to come. So here's some of the studies that have been kind of initiated that are going forward. We see studies on cardiovascular benefits. We see studies on neuroprotection, inflammation modulation. We're seeing liver disease, fatty liver. We're seeing PCOS, addiction and cravings. That's actually a really interesting one for me. There's a lot of studies going on right now around that. So we see some combination therapies, and then we see some like long-term safety studies. So this is kind of where the research is going right now. But what is more important to me is that there's more widespread benefits being discovered and really publicized about GLP-1. So people are realizing that it's much more than just a weight loss target. It is actually a target for longevity. It's a target for health. And that's why GLP-1 made sense for LifeVantage. I remember when we were working on this product and people heard that we were working on GLP-1, and they're like, are we gonna be a weight loss company now? And we're like, there's a part of that to it, because that's one of the benefits that can come from it. But it makes complete sense within our approach to health. GLP-1 gets out of balance in your body. We're bringing it back into balance to help restore health, full body health in multiple areas, because GLP-1 is influencing so many parts of the body. And we have our solution, our mind-body GLP-1 system. Now, it activates GLP-1. We previously were saying by 140% on average. Julie yesterday gave you a little bit of teaser. More research has been done. That's that advancing the science that I was talking about. Over 200%. The more we are testing this product, the more benefits we were saying. Yeah, you can give that one a clap. I'll take that. Get some good energy for a Saturday morning. It's phenomenal. For the US, it was looking at a cumulative average of both studies that moved it over 200%. For international, came out the gate with over 200%. There's also going to be some more things that we're going to be releasing soon. Now, the reason we're not talking about it here is because this is hot off the press. We just finished the study a few weeks ago, because we had to think just the practicalities of clinical studies. Here's a little peek under the hood. We can't start a study during the holidays. No one would do it. It would be horrible. So we had to start in January, and we needed it to be a 12-week clinical. So that puts us right at the beginning of April. So Christina, we always joke about her being in her cave when we get all of the data to analyze it as quickly as possible. And so we analyze it as quickly as possible to get these numbers, but our next steps will actually be adding it to our patent application. So we'll be doing that next. And then you'll get to see all the numbers, because we looked at targets beyond GLP-1, and we have a lot of new numbers for you guys to share. So just be looking out in the near future for a lot more information to come on both the US formula and the international formula, because we advanced the science. We did our study with NRF2, where we saw those 9 additional fat and fatty acid metabolism pathways, the 4 additional antioxidant pathways. We saw organ health restoration pathways being activated. We saw cellular adhesion. We saw cellular and chemical and electrical signaling. We saw these pro-survival pathways being activated only when you combined the MB and NRF2 together, showing the powers of activation synergies. And that's not all we're doing. We have more on the docket. We have our board coming in next week, because you saw them up on stage yesterday. We get to present to them next week. It's actually super fun. I get the fun segment of being like, here's all the things to come. So they're always really excited for me. So we get to have great conversations, but I'm like, here's my 3 slides of all of the research that I have coming. And some of it has to do with this product, some of it has to do with other things to come. So we have a lot of amazing things coming down the pipeline that really show our commitment to advancing science. But what I just want to hammer home before I kind of pass the baton is GLP-1 is one of those activation solutions that people are looking for. Now, it's up to the people in this room to make sure they understand that they know what they're asking for. They're not asking for, it's not a quick fix weight loss solution. Nothing is. There's nothing like that. When I was getting my hair and makeup done earlier, my stylist, she was saying, the only way to lose 20 pounds that quickly is just like cut off a leg. But we're not gonna go that extreme. So we wanna do this in a healthy way. And so this is about focusing on balancing hormones, which is one piece of the puzzle. For a lot of people, it may be the missing piece. For some people, it just may be one of the missing pieces, and there's still a few more missing pieces of their health. But it's up to us to let them know of this natural solution to increasing that GLP-1, and to share all of the new science and everything that it's doing in all of the different systems in our body. So with that, that's our Activate GLP-1 solution. And now we are going to move forward and talk about NAD. So thank you guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, this is to me, guys. I know that a lot of you could not recognize me. Yes. I don't need to wear my glasses all the time. I'm not saying anything. I see bright. I see very, very bright. So, first of all, guys, let's give hands to the research and development team. So glad that you're going to hear today from another star. Christina is there.
Yes.
And I really do, there will be acknowledgement, but I really do, I would like to acknowledge the SAB team. And thank you Research and Development, because guys, Scientific Advisory Board is a team.
Yes.
And Research and Development is actually listening to us. So yes, the medical sort of aspect of things is there. So let's do NAD. So of course, today is not going to be guys, today is a very serious presentation. Now, what are the three things about our health? To me, three things about our health is A, cellular cleansing, right? Oxidative stress, electrophilic stress, you know what I'm leaning towards. The second thing to health is mitochondrial health. So the mitochondrial upkeep is an absolute essential component. You know what I'm talking about. And the third thing is, how do we stay young? Yes, anti-aging. So let's say NAD, nicotinamide dinucleotide. Why this complex? And we're going to be talking NAD plus. Why NAD plus? Why this thing is so critically important for our for our health. Without proper NAD concentration and proper NAD cycling. Now, I was already asked a question. We here talking about physiologic pathways, and that's exactly what we need to take care of. Physiologic, meaning that's the way God intended us. Amen. That's the way the cells operate. We're not talking pathologic pathways. That's wrong. That's mutation, blah, blah, blah. We don't deal with this. So in normality, number one, in order for us to live, we need energy, we need ATP. In order for us to get ATP, we need NAD plus. What does it mean plus? It means that nicotinamide dinucleotide is oxidized. So you see, this is called electron chain reaction. I'm showing you this formula. You see this H plus, H plus. So H plus is that antioxidant per se that is going to move that NAD that needs that electron to move it forward in the chain of reaction to get to the point of here it is, here are the electrons, here's ATP, here's the energy, here's how we live, here's how we breathe. So that's number one. You see, you passed the test with one. Okay, now we're going to another thing. And I'm going to tie it up to something that you're very familiar, aka glutathione. From a glutathione, I'm going to link it to something that you're very familiar, NRF2. So the NAD plus was oxidized. But the second most important version of NAD is the reduced version of NAD, which now NAD becomes an antioxidant, which is NADH or NADHP or NADPH. So what happens, I don't have this slide. Oh, don't look at this. But also look at this, whoever is really, really nerdy in a medical thing. So what happens is, glutathione, when it works, all the cycles of antioxidation, reduction, oxidation, reduction, that's how we transfer these free radicals or we consume them. So glutathione, the major master antioxidants, when it consumed that, it becomes like it needs more of this rebound. So what rebounds them? One of the parts of this rebound process is NADH. So that's to tie up things. Now we're getting into the third part, which is anti-aging, where the NADH, what does it do? It acts on something that are called sirtuins. So sirtuins are another, well, whether they're genes or not, okay, enzymes that are going to activate the genes, but without NAD plus, it's not going to happen. And that's what we're going to look into later. Now, how do we get NAD? So there are three ways. And the thing is, why are we going to talk NAD per tandem? Because, okay, first one is we eat things to make NAD, which is called de novo pathway or kynurate pathway. I don't have the slides and I don't even look at them. So, so the first one, so how do you eat your NAD? Food, good food, nutrient-dense food, and predominantly proteins. So, well, good quality meat, poultry, eggs, beans. Everybody knows about turkey, tryptophan. So, and then it's going to, through the chain of reactions, it's going to make NAD. The second pathway is the Price-Handler pathway. And that's when we supplement with NAD, quote to quote NAD supplements. So like NMN, I'm sure you're in healthcare, you know, NMN, NR, and some of them do NAD IV. Apparently, sorry, somewhat a statement. Please don't do NAD IV because NAD doesn't get from the bloodstream into the cells. It has no capacity to get from the bloodstreams through the cellular membrane in the cells. That's why it is so important to do it the right way. But the third pathway, which is a very, very important pathway, it is called salvage pathway. And that pathway suffers when we age. Oh, I should go back because in this pathway, these are, you know, as you see, we're going to be talking about how does it recircle. So NAD salvage pathway may be the most important pathway for us because that's the pathway that suffers through the aging process. How does it suffer through the aging process? It suffers through the aging process because there is something that Neil taught me, Dr. Goodman taught us about the rate-limiting reaction. So there are a couple enzymes that you're going to see later, NAMP, NAT, whatever. It doesn't matter the name of the enzymes. The matter is, the essence is it's a rate-limiting enzymes, meaning that if we don't upregulate, if we don't have enough of these enzymes, the reaction is not going to happen. The salvage pathway is not going to happen. So they're not going to be recycling of this NAD+. And the thing about the end product of NAD, which is NAM, nicotinamide, you don't want to have a lot of it. That you do not want to have a lot in your system because, like, ... I'm very compliant.
You are.
Okay, guys, I'm going to introduce one more thing. I know I'm sort of, you know, doing very, like, biochemical today, but what? AMPK. AMPK is very, very important. It's one of the enzymes or kinases. Why is it so important? It's so important in something that is, why? It's something very, very important in, we know that, in autophagy, in mitophagy, and what does it do? Now, how do we reach to autophagy or mitophagy? Intermittent fasting, exercise. Guys, there's kind of, you know, no blanks. We need to eat right. Intermittent fasting allows us to clean the garbage. And the cells are so smart with autophagy and mitophagy, reticulophagy, you just name it. Those pieces of the cells, they are gobbled back, they're recycled. And when the AMPK is activated, again, it works on those enzymes. Now, AMPK later on, we will see, and not only that, and then we have this NAD, and then this week, that's how we get to the third path, to the third pathway of the sirtuins. Now, did I complicate you? We're okay? It's all, well, I know it's all good. Are we okay, guys? Okay, so now, what happens? Why is it so important? So when you have, like, you know, what do sirtuins do? Sirtuins do two major things, amongst other things too. A, they activate good genes. How do they activate good genes? Through something that is called deacetylations. They are don't worry about this. Don't worry about the terminology. That's how they work. They deacetylate. It's always balanced, plus minus. So I told you about it now. And then they deacetylate the genes. But on the other hand, what they do, they deacetylate some enzymes that upregulate mitochondrial function. And the mitochondria is the key of life. Why did I put this PGC1 alpha? Because it's interesting how the cells work and balance. It's like AMPK, the one that we were talking before, prepares PGC1 alpha for sirtuin. Without AMPK, PGC1 alpha is not going to work. Without sirtuin, PGC1 alpha is not going to be activated to do what? Because PGC1 alpha is one of the major instigators of mitochondrial biogenesis. And this is the essence of anti-aging. Mitochondrial recovery, mitochondrial support. And this is that trifecta of NAD and I was talking to you about now. How do we do it? So now you understand the importance, correct? So now we need to do it the right way. So how do we do it? There is the US formulation, and there is a global formulation, which includes Canada. Okay, guys, yeah, please take a picture. All good. Now, of course, and thank you, Christina and the team. Now, of course, and I'm a chocoholic, so I would love to see, when I saw Theobroma cacao, it's, it's chocolate. So, and when we were talking about the recycling or salvage pathway, that's where we were talking about NAPT and NMNAT. And that's what those ingredients do. But not only they upregulate the salvage, those two enzymes, but they also upregulate the whole system through, let's say that's what the radish does. But guys, look at the ingredients, how real, how natural they are. That's what I like. I don't like to read like the formula that I have no idea where it's coming from and it's chemical. I know that cacao is a cacao. And I know that the radish is a radish. So no, and I know that olive leaf is an olive leaf. So another thing is, let's say, you need to understand that all these ingredients, they have the multitude of positive effects. It's not just an NAD plus upregulation. It upregulates all the other pathways that we were talking about. It is complementary to everything we were talking about. I forgot to mention that everybody knows about NRF1 and NRF1 pretandem, which is outrageously awesome. But we don't we don't mention that NRF1 works with synergy with GLP-1 that I mentioned before. That's how you upregulate, that is mitochondrial biogenesis. So now, anybody knows wasabi? Anybody goes to Japanese restaurant? We have Japanese people in the audience. They know real wasabi. So now, as you see here, wasabi, the last line, wasabi powder can be included in the supplement that also contain NAD precursors or ingredients that support NAD levels like cuprous niacin. Anybody is familiar with cuprous niacin? It's in NAD plus pretandem. Now, the interesting thing is when you start thinking about the supplements, the NAD supplements like NMN and R, nicotinic acid, the doses up there, correct? When you do nicotinic acid, let's say vitamin B3, the doses up there, you get a niacin flush and blah, blah, blah. With the niacin, cuprous niacin, and the formulation, some of us may see, why is the nicotine cuprous niacin such a small concentration? How does it work? But that's exactly how it works, through upregulating of this rate-limiting reactions, through those enzymes. Remember those NA blah, 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 NA blah, blah, blah. So that's how the ingredients upregulate that pathway with the synergy. So you don't need much, you just need a little boost. That's how it all works. Now, everybody is, I would say, familiar with black tea. Theocrine. Theocrine is lovely. Now, again, the NAD plus salvage pathway is a critical process that recycles nicotinamide to NAD plus, a vital coenzyme involved in many cellular functions. Again, guys, and that's what I wanted to convey. It's not about NAD pretendum. It's about trisynergizer. You need to do everything because that's the lineup, how the cells are working. This is the essence of something that is called metabolomics. Metabolism, metabolomics.
Thank you. Okay, under your seats you'll find the quiz. All right, so we've been talking today about some pretty intense scientific things, but what is so cool is right now everyone else is too. It's like the zeitgeist. Have you heard the term zeitgeist? Who's heard that term? It means the spirit of the times. That is where we are now. We are here. I'm bringing my ears out. Okay, so who's bought the book by Casey Means? Oh my goodness. Okay, yeah. It's everywhere. I don't know what happened. She just hit the right nerve. I don't know how she did it, but people really resonated with her message. And there's so many books in my library that I've either read or started to read. And I'm not the only one anymore. It's everywhere. People are just having these conversations in the gym. They're having the conversations in, at dinner, on podcasts, books everywhere. This is what they're talking about. The thing is, I love that they're bringing this language to the masses. It's really well-meaning and it's helping us get the message out. But what are they talking about as a solution? Grandma's solutions, right? She's told us to get plenty of sunshine, eat your veggies, don't put garbage in your body, drugs, alcohol, whatever. Now we don't even have to drink alcohol or take drugs to get the toxins. They come, we're pre-toxined in this world. Okay, so even it's like, it's so exciting, it's so cool, but their solutions are really recycled. They're just old, ancient solutions. And the problem is people aren't able to do them either consistently enough or significantly enough to really move the needle. It's just too hard for most people. But even the healthy people, even the ones that are doing it right, they're not quite getting there. They've read the books, they've listened to the podcasts, they're grounding, they're saunaing, they're vibrating their plates, and they're bouncing on their rebounders, and they're doing all the things, and they're still feeling less than they want to. And that's where we come in. Because we are literally going to the root cause of what all these people think that they invented. They think they invented mitochondrial stress and cellular stress and oxidative stress. But we had such prescience when we realized that we can literally turn on the body's production of these wonderful enzymes like superoxide dismutase. Just so happens that we do it by upregulating all these enzymes and reducing oxidative stress. We did it before it was cool, and we got all the studies. We got the patents. We just have to really get loud about it because it's really something special. And we did not just rest on that amazing solution. We went on to create activators of mitochondrial biogenesis. We help the mitochondria that we already have be healthier. We bring in NAD and sirtuins so that we can repair DNA, protect it. And we bring in collagen activation because that's the most abundant protein in your body. And we had a feeling that if you combine these two wonderful pathways, like Sveta was talking about, there's synergy. We had a feeling there would be. And my goodness, these inflammatory cytokines that all the podcasts are talking about, we knock them down by 97%. The big ones that they're talking about, interleukin 1 beta, IL-1 beta, and interleukin 6 by 88%. That is something that translates into real results. Real results you can feel, and real results you can see. And this is Betty. She is just the poster child of activation. You can see the cellular stress just vanishing. And that is something, nobody else can put all that together, and the science and the patents and the result, the delightful aspect we talk about. We want our products to activate, we want them to be delightful, and we want them to really show or demonstrable. So I'm talking really quickly, making up for lost time here, but my message is simple. We have the solution. We have the solution that people are looking for. We need to get loud. We're the bridge between these podcasts and these books and actually getting the results for the people in your life, your patients, your friends, your family. We got the cookie, basically. The books and the podcasts, they're helping people speak our language, but we wrote the dictionary. Remember that, okay? So be loud, be proud, and really know what you have is what people need. And you can feel free to talk about these books and podcasts when you're talking to your patients and your clients. I mean, we got that, they've got our back, basically, these podcasts and these books and all of the things in the media. They have our back, and we just need to, let people know that here we are. We've been waiting for you. All right, so I went under.
Did you realize there's no name under there? So I have to introduce myself. I'm Christina Beer. I'm one of the research scientists at LifeVantage.
We love you.
And I love working with Lisa and the rest of the team. They're awesome. So as Lisa mentioned in the beginning, the 6 A's, right? One of them is looking at trends. And the way we like to do that is we listen to what the pharmaceutical industry is saying, we listen to what you guys are saying, we listen to what the literature is saying, basically. So we try and do a deep dive before, we have our roadmaps at times, and but we want to know what's out there, right? So we look at most of the research trends out there, and we use the internet to use a lot. I have some peeps in the pharmaceutical industry that I listen to, so and this is by no means something that we're going to be developing or anything. This is just trends in general that are out there right now. So the first one is sleep.
Big.
Who had a good night's sleep last night? Ooh. Who? Not even half of you guys. That's sad. I had all of 7 hours last night.
Nice.
And we're under construction. My house is completely torn apart. But anyway, so some of the topics that we see out there actually, I have a little thing right here, are sleep apnea and dementia risks. You don't get a good night's sleep, your body doesn't recover. What can happen? ... Like Sveta said, right? Insomnia is a big one. A lot of people are under stress, whatever that stress means, and they just can't fall asleep. They have to do presentation, like me, but I got my 7 hours. Sleep and kidney disease, it's a big one out there. Who would have thought about that, right? Sleep and kidney? And then we all know if we don't sleep well enough, we're gonna age, right? We don't have the time to recover. Our cells don't have the time to recover what they need during the sleep. And then, surprise, diet and sleep. Surprise, surprise, right? Who here notices that when they don't eat right, that day or for a week or for a couple of days that they have wonderful sleep? Nobody. Good. Yes, you sleep really crappy, don't you? Right? Yeah. Yeah, and I feel the same way. Even if I just stay up long, I'm at 9:30. My body. That's a standing joke in my family. Okay, it's 9:30. Christina is ready for bed, and everyone else is just still ready to have fun. And then other very interesting area is AI and sleep patterns. So there are companies out there that are trying to create some kind of wearable or just use AI to help you with sleep of some sort. That's very, very interesting area, actually. But with all these, there's hundreds of articles out there. This is just a few of them from the last year that we're focusing or saw. PubMed or Google Scholar. There are some other great databases you can mine. And with that, there are some great, great pathways we can target. And this is just a few of them, and it doesn't mean that it's the right one at this point, but that just gives you an example of what we could look at, what we could activate, right? So that's how we work. All right. So another area that we saw is sex hormones. So that's a big one. Menopause. Unfortunately, all women will go through menopause. Is there something like an andropause? Yes? Okay. I've heard about it. I believe in it. But I don't know. I'm not a guy. Okay, cool. We've seen, of course, hormone therapy guidances with menopause. Are there some pathways we can activate with that? Cardiovascular areas in menopause. We all know that, cardiovascular is the biggest, I think it's the biggest mortality for women, right? Immune function. Then we have muscle function, hot flashes, all that goody thing that comes with getting older. Again, we have awesome pathways we can address or that we can see. POCS, uterine diseases may have something to do with it. So there's great pathways and genetic targets that are available in these researches. Okay, the third one I want to talk about is brain health. So we all know exercise is good for the brain. Who here exercises regularly? Ooh, nice. And the other part, what do you guys do? Nothing? Nothing at all? Come on. You're in this profession, you know better. Come on. All right. So we know exercise and brain volume. Brett will want to hear this. That's his little specialty. Systemic health and neurodegeneration. Lifestyle interventions and aging. I mean, we've heard it all, right? So, and then there's something, again, with diet and brain aging. Diet seems to be coming up all the time. And we're in the best position, right, with what we do and what we put together. It's part of our diet. So then we have these pathways. Some of the pathways that we found in the literature that we could address. Again, MMPs, anti-inflammation, right? Or inflammation, Alzheimer's, all these degenerative brain diseases are out there. So great pathways that we could target that are out there for investigation. Then the last one is stress. Who here is stressful today? Well, maybe you haven't stayed awake long enough yet, but. So Sveta was a little stressed. She had a flight to catch, so she's gone. But stress is really, really big in our society family, work, oh, I have to do the right thing, I have to exercise, I have to do this, I have to do that, you know. So stress is a really, really important part of our life. Not a good part, but it's part of our lives. And we all want to eliminate stress. And it's how you deal with it that's going to make you healthier, right? So we know stress and immunity. You're stressed, you're really stressed, and then you come down with a cold sore, or you know, your belly aches, or you have GI stress issues because you're stressed, right? So then you have you get the brain fog if you're stressed, you know, so your gut brain axis doesn't talk properly to each other. So and then a really good one is mindfulness and your cortisol, right? We all are stressed out. Our cortisol is going to go through the roof. We may put even more stress on our bodies because of that. So mindfulness should be a big part of your daily life. Does everyone know what mindfulness means? Come on. Who knows what mindfulness means? Raise your hands. Ooh. Okay, less than 50%. Okay. So I'm going to call somebody out. Who raised their hand? Define mindfulness. Okay. Being in the moment, he said. Anyone else? Come on. Being connected to your body. What does that mean? Awareness, exactly, right? Aware what's going on in your life all the time and how you may be able to counteract that, reduce your stress throughout the day. So this is a really, really interesting area for us. And here are maybe some gene markers. So that are seen out there, right? Okay, I think that's it. But before I leave the stage, I would love to introduce our scientific advisory board.
Yes.
And you know who you are. Please stand up. Sveta is part of it, but she had to leave and catch a flight. So we have Meredith, Jessica, Nancy, Dondi, Brett, Neil, where are you at? There you are. And Sean, thank you for all you do for us. You are amazing and you're helping us out a lot. So, next one, Dondi, it's my pleasure.
Here you go, baby.
Oh my goodness, welcome everybody.
Hello.
Before I get started, I really want to just make a public confession. And by sharing how, one, we were just asked to stand up as members of the Scientific Advisory Board, and one, how humble I feel to be a part of that very elite group, because I suffer from imposter syndrome. Like, why would they ever choose me to be a part of this board? And I realized that if there's any of you that have been listening to the amazing presentations and the amazing information shared by these amazing people and wondering how could I possibly follow in their footsteps, I would encourage you to stop thinking like that. Because if you look at some of the most prized possessions or artifacts of the world, like the Mona Lisa or the Statue of David or the Sistine Chapel ceiling, these are masterpieces created by master craftsmen. And anything that somebody would try to do to look like that would be considered a counterfeit. You are not a counterfeit of someone else. You are a masterpiece in your own right. And don't ever compare yourself to anyone else. Because to do so is very disempowering, and you will have a hard time finding your own voice if you do that. Your voice is unlike any other voice. And for you that have patience and people that rely on you, find your own voice, because trying to be a mimic or parroting someone else is doing a disservice to the people who entrust their lives to you. So find your voice. So I want to now kind of bring this up to the business of activation. I want to close out this. And again, I'm just so grateful to be a part of this group and to be asked to close out this session. And I'm hoping that I can bring a little perspective and let you know that the time in history that we are all sharing right now. And if you look at that, that is an archery target. And that centerpiece is the activation story. And that is LifeVantage. Right now, we are the only occupants of that center. But as you saw with the book titles, and I'm going to get into with the things that I talk about today, I'm going to illustrate a timeline of what has been happening as people are getting closer and closer and closer to that center circle. Like Lisa opened with today, in some of those books, they're talking everything about our language. They're talking about it, and the one key word they're missing is activation. They're dancing all around the issues. They're describing everything about the issue, but they haven't mentioned the power that we have, and that is cellular activation. And I wrote something down to kind of put this in perspective for all of you. And first of all, let me get into I'm so nervous up here. So I want to welcome you all to the front lines of the next frontier, and that is the business of activation. And many of you are healthcare providers, you're doctors, you're researchers, your massage therapists, or whatever, your physical therapists, or whatever capacity you hold that is unique to you. I want you to own that. I want you to possess that, because then I want to share with you why this matters right here, right now, and to each and every one of you. Because the business of activation, it's where we don't wait for the future of healthcare, we activate it. And this is literally the new frontier. So I want you to realize you're not here by accident. And I hope you sense that. You are here by divine purpose. You're here because you already sense what's happening, and you already know what laggers are going to be looking back in hindsight and realizing they missed a massive, massive opportunity. And I hope none of you miss that opportunity. And this is not about treating symptoms. It's not about managing decline. This is about activating the human body to perform, to heal, and to thrive the way it was originally designed to. And that movement has a name, and that name is cellular activation. And that is what we alone possess currently, the understanding and the practicality to actually engage that process, and you're already here. So whatever your ID number is, and if you're here as a guest and you're with somebody, I really want you to pay extra close attention. Because the ID number that you have, I kind of liken it to the Willy Wonka golden ticket. Because there is no better time to use the knowledge that I'm hoping I'm going to give you in a timeline that illustrates it's already in motion. It's been in motion for almost 2 decades. And you are here at the right time to grasp this. So this, my friends, is not just science. It's not just healthcare. This is the business of activation, and it's the professional opportunity of a lifetime.
Amen.
And I want to ask you this, just think about this question. What if the greatest untapped breakthrough in human performance, health span, and longevity was already coded within us, waiting to be activated? Because that is the reality. So I'm going to share also with the old model is broken. We're seeing it more and more every day. We're hearing about it in the news more and more every day. We're becoming more aware of it every day. That this is not about treating symptoms. It's about activating dormant potential, or maybe even potential you never even really have maximized yet, but it's been in you the entire time. That is, if I could summarize, that's the approach of LifeVantage and why we are so blessed to be here. So I want to talk about literally the first domino to fall in this timeline, in this activation timeline. It was a publication of a book in 2002 called Never Be Sick Again by Raymond Francis. And I love the provocative title here, the part in green. Health is a choice. Learn how to choose it. And what he wrote in this book and summarized and really dropped the gauntlet and got a lot of professional criticism from his colleagues is that there's only one cause of disease, and that's cellular malfunction. And there's only 2 causes of cellular malfunction: toxicity and deficiency. In other words, something in our internal or external environment or both that is poisoning us, not allowing our cells to perform adequately. And when they don't perform adequately, they start to malfunction. And if left long enough, it will become some diagnosis from some well-educated doctor that gives you. And the other is deficiency. Your cells are deficient in something, they're needing something that they don't have. And the longer they go without having, the more malfunctioning they are, and the more malfunctioning they are, the more disease is likely, and then the diagnosis comes. But it's a very predictable process. So this gauntlet being dropped right here was super pivotal. And interestingly enough, less than a year later, Protandim came out. The very first activator, the game changer, Protandim NRF2 Synergizer, and literally we have been able to say ever since that oxidative stress has met its match. So it doesn't matter how many blueberries you eat or what kind of kale juice or whether you make kale, if you don't even like kale and you found that you put seasoning on it, put it in a baking tray and you make kale chips out of it, it still is never anything compared to this. So we know that now. And I hear some chuckles out there because I've done that. Marcy and I have made some pretty amazing kale chips actually. But I thought it was pretty amazing on this timeline that a little less than a year later, in the same year, the Human Genome Project was completed. This was something that began in 1990. It was an international effort among researchers all over the world studying and mapping the human DNA strain, looking for the cure of all disease. And it was completed in 2003. Again, I don't think it's coincidental that Protandim came out before this. But Protandim was already activating something they were studying. It just didn't know that they were studying it and that we had already harnessed the potential. But I love what they say in this, or what the summary of this is, that genes are not your fate. They're your toolkit. And LifeVantage has taken that one step further. Cellular activation is how you unlock that toolkit. That is something they missed. They tried to see it, but they missed it, and no one, even now, 22 years later, we are the only company truly in the bullseye of that target, despite the fact that everybody is, or a lot of people, a lot of podcasts, as Sean was mentioning, a lot of books, and some of the ones you probably have already read, and you're reading it going, yes, they're talking about our activation story. They just haven't said activation. That is the reality, my friends. And then in 2009, this amazing company that we are all part of joined the network marketing community. And I would even tell you, they didn't go willingly. It was a kicking and screaming, our CEO at the time, David Brown, trying to prove to our board that there was some significance in this network marketing space to give people like yourselves the ability to share this information, to share it with passion and with purpose, rather than having them find it somewhere else or walk into a GNC and hopefully they find that dusty bottle with a $60 price tag that said guaranteed to reduce free radical damage and not even know what it meant, and then go for the $15 bottle of vitamin C right next to it, because that's what was happening over and over and over again. And then when LifeVantage joined the network marketing space, planted the flag as the first activation company, it's been an amazing ride ever since. Well, then in 2013, I don't know if you guys know this, but calicolabs.com, think about this, when Google and Apple and Genentech collaborated to form Calico Labs, they had a quest. And they had a quest to take the brightest minds, Nobel laureate scientists. There's 27 Nobel laureate scientists, meaning scientists who have received the Nobel Prize in their field of medicine. 27 of them are working for this company right now, trying to find what we already have. And in 2013, in 12 years, they brought 0 products to market with the brightest minds in the world. And not because they don't have altruistic intentions. I don't know what their intentions are, and I think they're probably amazing, but they just haven't found what we found because they're looking in the pharmaceutical side of the equation and not the nutraceutical side of the equation that is empowering the body. They are looking for ways of tampering with it. And so I want to share this with you. So if you look at the companies, Apple, the most valuable company in the world, $3.6 trillion. Google, the 4th most powerful and valuable company in the world, $1.9 trillion. When 2 of the top 4 most valuable companies in the world are investing billions into something, you should probably take notice. And that is where they're investing, they're trying to find that bullseye. They just don't know, well, they're trying, but they don't know we are already here. We already have 5 products to market, and as you heard Christina talking about it, we've got many more to come in activation pathways. But this should let you know that when these kinds of minds with this kind of money employ those types of scientists to find what we already have, you should take notice. You should be very, very aware, and that is not by accident. 3 years later, we introduced Protandim NRF1 synergy and tapped into the ability to influence and increase human mitochondria, the cells, the energy of the cells. And if one of those things, we talked about toxicity and deficiency being one of the causes, or the only 2 causes of cellular malfunction, what if energy deficiency is the cause of that cellular malfunction? We didn't know. Well, we knew. We didn't know if we could do it. We knew the hypothesis was out there. And then when this product came out, it was proven that we could do it. The powerhouse is back on in the cell. We've just given people the ability to overcome the things that brought them to the malfunction, that gave them the disease, that took them to the doctor in the first place. We can reverse engineer that and not have to worry about that anymore. Pretty amazing. And then 6 years later, our third to round out the Tri-Synergizer, as you heard Sveta comedically and very adequately and intelligently talk about the power of NAD activation. It's incredible. The potential is endless with this. And as the timeline, as you see the numbers in red, those are our activators. There's 2 more that are come. The numbers in black are just other things that have happened. And you're going to see a little crossover, some things that have happened in the same year. So in 2022, collagen activation became possible by activating the fibroblasts in your body with our True Science liquid collagen and looking and feeling younger. Pretty amazing, pretty amazing. And one of the things about this, and I love the way Dr. Brett talks about this is the connective tissue. It's the glue that holds us together. And when he put that so eloquently, it helped me understand the magnitude of what we have. And if you think, and now my background as a chiropractor, when people come to me with pains and aches and pains, whether they're chronic or acute, they're always usually involving some kind of a joint or some kind of area in the body that isn't functioning the way it used to function. And joints have 5 tissues that make them up. They've got the bone, you've got the muscle, you've got the ligament, you've got the tendon, and you've got the cartilage. And guess what all 5 of those factors of every joint have in common? It's this right here, collagen. So when we can turn back on the body's ability to make collagen again, and what is one of the things that goes along with aging? Immobility or lack of movement. When we can turn that capacity back on again naturally, the way it was supposed to happen, not tampering with it artificially, what we can do is endless. What we can provide for people is endless. What gets better? That same year, another conglomerate, Altos Labs. Who's ever heard of Jeff Bezos?
You think?
When Jeff Bezos invests billions into something, you should probably pay attention. And so Altos Labs was started in 2022. Altos Labs, and their tagline is, they're not just slowing aging, they're reversing it, or at least they're trying to. And again, noble effort, but what do they have in common with Calico Labs and Google and Apple and Genentech, who've invested trillions or billions of dollars? They're looking for the pharmaceutical side of the equation. And no matter how good it is, no matter how great it sounds, no matter how much you pay these Nobel laureate scientists to find something, it is still on the pharmaceutical side. And if you can just look at it this way, and I don't mean to disparage anyone in this room who is a practicing medical doctor. On the contrary, I bow to you because you are providing incredible service for the people that you provide service for. But it's when they need it and you are there to show up. You are a specialist in what you do. That is powerful, it is honorable, and it is making a major difference. But the thing about pharmaceuticals, it's typically treating symptoms to lower them, but it is manipulating the human body chemically. And sometimes that has positive benefits. That's why every single pharmaceutical has a list of side effects. And the confusing part to me is sometimes the side effect is the actual problem that the pharmaceutical was taken for in the first place. That's how we know there's manipulation or tampering. And I'm not saying there's any bad intentions behind it, because there's always a positive side, but there's always a negative side when there's manipulation involved and when there's chemical manipulation involved. But when you are honoring the human biology and you are doing it naturally through natural pathways, the only side effect of that is improved health and wellness, because it's honoring the biology, not tampering with it. And so what Altos Labs is trying to do is find what we already have. And then in 2024, this amazing mind-body system was released. And was it just incredible to hear Julie talk about a 200% increase in GLP-1 naturally by stimulating the natural way that happens in your body? That is revolutionary, my friends. There are people that are voluntarily going in and taking shots and losing muscle and losing all the other things that come along with it and having side effects because they're trying to do just that. How about just looking within that code, the what if? What if the greatest breakthrough in medicine and health history is already in you? It's codified, it just hasn't been activated yet. That is really what we're doing with this. No shots, no muscle loss, and an incredible, incredible change. You saw the pictures. Okay, now I want to shift gears a little bit to some of the most recent things that have happened. This book, Marcy and I read this book, we listened to this book on our nightly walks, and every night we had a discussion about something we heard about this. This book is incredible, and I want to just sing Dr. Casey Means praises. She's the author of this book. She's a Stanford-educated medical doctor, and I'm from the Bay Area, so I'm very prideful about that. And anytime I hear about Stanford University or people graduating from Stanford University, I didn't go there. I didn't even apply because they wouldn't have let me in anyways. My GPA would not have allowed me to get in there, but when I see and hear the efforts from somebody from Stanford, I have kind of a hometown fanboy expectation. And so, and Dr. Casey Mean delivers incredibly in this book. Well, there was a couple things she predicted, or that she said. The trends that were going on, 93% of adults are metabolically unhealthy, most of that due to insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes that contributes to that or stems from that. And did you guys hear Kelly yesterday, the astronaut, talk about them studying insulin resistance in space? Hello. If that doesn't tell you that we are on the right track when we read this best-selling book by Dr. Casey Means, and then we hear a astronaut talk about they're studying insulin resistance and the effects of insulin resistance in outer space, we should pay attention right here to what's happening, because she just validated everything that we've done, that we're currently doing, and that we are about to do. And so does this book. That was incredible yesterday. I literally had chills when I heard her say that. And then she goes on to say in this book that 1 out of 3 kids will become type 2 diabetic if we don't change the trajectory of what we know and how we implement what we know. And in this book, she dropped a massive challenge. Now there was some, in the book, she talks about having her own constant glucose monitoring system, which is great. But this book, if you just grasp the signal of this book, the meaning of this book, the message of this book, it should just reaffirm for you that as a consultant or guest if you're in the room of LifeVantage, this is the place to be. Because we already have what she's looking for in this book and what the readers of the book are wanting. They just don't know that is accessible to them. Also last year, Dr. Peter Attia's book, Outlive. And Dr. Peter Attia, interestingly enough, another Stanford grad and an incredible, incredible man, an incredible doctor. He's talking about training for the centenarian decathlon. Have you guys ever heard of what are called blue zones? There's 5 blue zones that they're researching, and they're places in the world where a congregation of people that routinely live over 100 years old. And it's not by accident, it's by design. It's about the lifestyle that they live, the things that they're implementing in their life, which gives them the outcome. Well, in this book, he talks about that, and he talks about how you and I and the people that we know can harness that same capacity and start developing this centenarian decathlon. And it's interesting what they're talking about, what he's talking about in the book. It was dancing all around the issue of cellular activation without talking about cellular activation. So if you want to know if you're in the right place here at LifeVantage, read these books. And it should give you a resounding, yes, I'm in the right place. Now I just need to open my mouth and talk to the people that are in my sphere of influence. And I love it when it happens outside of the walls of this company, outside the walls of this room, and outside of your sphere of influence, when other people are doing the heavy lifting for your message. Capitalize on that power. And then this year, it just came out, Dr. Stephen Gundry's book, The Gut-Brain Paradox. Reading this book and listening, Marcy and I listened to this. I heard about this book coming out on Ed Milet's podcast when he interviewed Dr. Stephen Gundry, and he was talking about, and he was just saying all of these things, and I was like, he's talking about our GLP-1 mind-body system. He's talking about everything we're talking about without saying the words MB and without talking about our mind-body system and MB Enhance and MB Core, but he may as well have, because everything he was talking about perfectly lines up with the product that we already had to market before this book ever came out. It's just validating what we're doing. And if you're paying close attention and you're looking for signs, they're everywhere, my friends. So if you are still in this room and you are struggling with, I don't want my patients to think I'm crazy. I don't want them to think I'm just selling them something. I want you to give yourself a gut check and a reality check. Because if you're thinking about your patients now, there are other healthcare providers in your community thinking about the patients of tomorrow. And if you don't get on board with this message of cellular activation and preaching it loudly and sharing with people, you are going to lose patience to the people that are going to embrace something that you are not yet sure if you're going to. So let me just put that out there to you. If you don't have, after hearing Kelly yesterday talk about they're studying this kind of stuff in outer space, if you don't have the fear of missing out, then I would encourage you to check your pulse right now. Or your attention span or something. Get off of Facebook, stop scrolling and pay attention, because you're gonna miss it. And the signs are everywhere. Now I brought the copy of this. This is a magazine called The Economist. Now this is a magazine with the cover story. This is March 22nd, so last month's issue of this magazine, talking about the rise of the superhuman, the medicine shift from treatment to enhancement. And I want you to, one, be rattled to your core about that word enhancement, but open your eyes at what they're trying to do. So the human being itself, our biology doesn't need enhancement. It needs activation. And the only reason they're looking for enhancement is because there has not yet been activation. And when I was back in the room, just kind of contemplating on what I was going to talk about today and praying for the words to come out of my mouth that would help you guys truly understand and grasp the magnitude of what we have, he gave me a sign. He gave me a mantra. And it's this mantra: if we don't activate, we deteriorate. I'm going to say that again. If we don't activate, we deteriorate. And the whole reason why this exists, the rise of the superhuman, and why they are looking for enhancement, is because they are trying to enhance the deterioration, not activate the potential. Great effort, noble effort, missing the entire point. It's about activation, not enhancement. And if we activate, there's no need to enhance. That's the bottom line, guys. And that is our activation story, and it is ours alone. And then something that is coming out in the 22nd of next month. You guys have probably heard about this in the news. Time magazine on de-extincting the dire wolf. They brought back a wolf that had been extinct for 13,000 years. And so, if you guys have all seen Jurassic Park, it's happening right now. And we know how Jurassic Park ended. Because when you try to enhance something, and I don't know why the dire wolf went extinct, I just know that it did. And it's a top tier predator. When you bring back top tier predators, you may cause it to cause extinction of something else. That's when I realized the flaw in the logic. They're talking about now bringing back the woolly mammoth and the dodo bird and the saber-toothed tiger and all of these other kinds of things. And I'm thinking, well, most of those are probably going to look at me as a food source, and I don't want that. But also, it's just, if you're thinking about what they're thinking about and they're putting into motion and it's actually happening, if their focus is on de-extincting something that has been extinct for 13,000 years, what if they just shifted that focus to activating what has been in us for all this time? And if we can de-extinct something, what can we do here? Everyone in this room knows already. The world is trying to figure it out. Let's focus on that. But it's in the news, my friends. It's everywhere. You're either asleep at the wheel if you don't recognize it. But if we can restore wolves, why not restore our own human vitality? And we are doing that right now. And the fact that we are the only activation company is not because we have a message that's falling on deaf ears. We just don't have enough voices to open the ears of the deaf or the intentional people that are looking the other way. Our message is so powerful, and I'm hoping that you're starting to get convinced, not by what we're saying at LifeVantage, but what the world is looking for that we already have. It just validates everything that we do. And that should give you permission and power and zeal to go out and share this message boldly. Because if you don't, we are right now at the cusp. We are at the cliff. And we are literally at the transitional point of an entire healthcare movement that will change decades in the next century. And if you don't embrace it, you're going to miss it. I'm going to be that bold with you, because then I want to kind of show you this as an illustration. That right there is where all of the, if you could look again, that archery target. Look what they're getting closer and they're getting closer. But the only ones who have in the bullseye of that activation story is LifeVantage and our 5 activation products that are already out there. So use this timeline, use the validation, the social proof that is out there, like Dr. Sean mentioned, with the podcasts and the books. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Once something catches on, everybody jumps on the bandwagon. And here's what I know to be true. We are the first activation company. I would love it if we came out with more, if people out there came out with Nerf2 activators and Nerf1 activators and NAD activators and fibroblast activators and collagen activators and MB like products that enhance and activate GLP-1. I would love that, because then we wouldn't be the only people talking about it. And when everyone starts talking about it, we're at that tipping point. And there's a book called The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell. And if you haven't read that book, read that book as far as because we are right on the tipping point. Or if you've ever heard the story of the 100th monkey, we are right there. And when it tips and the world's attention gets drawn to activation and they start talking about cellular activation, we will always be first. We have all the studies no one else has, and we have 5 activators when no one else even has 1. We will be the choice. And I'm going to close with 2 things here. If you wonder where cellular activation is now, it's kind of where cholesterol was 30 years ago. The people that were talking about cholesterol, lowering cholesterol, the importance of lowering cholesterol, and it's important. If you lower your cholesterol, it's a healthy thing. But I realized it got into the sense or the realm of nonsensical when Cheerios had a commercial that if you eat bowls of Cheerios every day, it lowers your cholesterol 3%. And they're talking about cholesterol being a beneficial way of lowering or Cheerios cereal being a beneficial way of lowering your cholesterol. That's when it goes the tipping point and then overboard. Because I don't ever want you to eat Cheerios to lower your cholesterol. Just activate your body, let your body do the thing. But when the world now back to reality, when the world has the same understanding of cellular activation that they do with lowering cholesterol, LifeVantage will be the number 1, first and only choice for most people who are studious. And this is the thing, you are all healthcare providers. You all have a reputation to uphold, personally and professionally, which is why maybe some of you are on the brake right now or took your foot off the gas or you're a little hesitant to engage. I will tell you this, I honor the fact you want to protect your reputation. You should. You should do it. You should do everything in your power to protect your reputation. But there's something also about the oath that we take as healthcare providers. And the first is to do no harm. The second is to do everything within our power, to do everything right by our patients. And I want you to look at it this way. If you don't implement this information and if you don't share it with your patients and you allow someone else to do it, you are breaking the very oath you took as a healthcare provider. And I want that to sit hard with you, because this is a challenge to you. Step up now, look at the signs everywhere, embrace the power that you have, embrace your own masterpiece uniqueness. You are not a poor imitation of someone else. You are a unique masterpiece, each and every one of you. take this time right now to see the signs, my friends. That activation story is uniquely yours. Get out there and share it loudly, because the patients of tomorrow are already looking for what you have. And here's another challenge. If a patient hears about this from someone else and they are your patient, be prepared for the conversation one day. Doc, you knew about this and you didn't share this with me? I'm going over there. Thank you. But you disturbed me. I don't want any of you to have that conversation, because they're coming. And they will only come to those who miss this. And I know you're all bright individuals, and I hope it is not you, because this right here is the business of activation. I want to close with this. It is literally us versus them out there, the knowledgeable versus the ignorant, and that's all it is. They're just ignorant. We have knowledge of something they don't yet have. But this isn't us versus other practitioners. It's us versus the old model. It's us versus mediocrity. It's us versus wasted potential. While they're playing with precursors, patches, and peptides, we're flipping the switches at the deepest level of human biology. So I'm inviting you to join us. If you're already here, join us with every ounce of your energy and every ounce of who you are, because we are changing the world cell by cell. And I want you to think of it this way. Sick cells make sick people. Well cells make well people. Become a practitioner of wellness, not a lowerer of symptoms. And if you do that and you own that position, and whether it's inside your practice, you've got your legal things that you've got your scope of practice, honor that. Maybe start looking out on the outside of that. What could you do for people outside your sphere or in your sphere to start activating them, and watch what happens? It is literally a tipping point, my friends. So thank you, Scientific Advisory Board. Thank you for all of you to put me up here today. Thank you for all of you in this room. Let's take this forward.
Okay, well, I mean, what a way to start Saturday morning. Are you guys feeling pumped? Do you have your mission? You have the right products, and it's the right time, and you have the right call to action. So it's up to you. You need to be the ones to act. And so the last thing I want to do is I just want to take a picture of this room. Feel free afterwards to mingle, ask questions, talk, just really kind of just get to know each other. And then we'll see you at the next session. So thank you, everyone. But let me take a picture real quick.